Everybody. Good morning, everybody who's logged in and joined us today for the Women in Community Associations Community Conversation in celebration of Women's Month here in South Africa. I would like to extend a special welcome to Jessica Towles, the President-elect of CAI. We're very excited to have Jessica with us today, seeing as it's, I think, just past 2 in the morning there in Colorado. So thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today. And I'm not sure if Michael Hurley has climbed on yet, but we're also very pleased to welcome Michael Hurley, a long-standing friend and colleague in the community association industry, joining us all the way from Australia. So thank you very, very much to both of you for taking the time to join us today. I'd just like to cover a few things before we actually start off with the discussion of the panelists. Should you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post those comments in our chat box. We will be monitoring this regularly, so we can check in before we change the discussion point of each discussion, just to check if there's any questions that we need to hear from our participants. Then we've also posted our LinkedIn and Facebook pages links in the chat box, so please feel free to go and like our CAISA Facebook page and follow our LinkedIn page. We've got a lot of information that we share there from CAI as well as CAM-ICB and other international chapters. So if you'd like to keep yourself up to date with what's going on in the industry worldwide, feel free to go and have a look there. Then the session is being recorded, just that everybody's aware. And we've got our next community conversation, which is scheduled for the 14th of September. So keep an eye out for any of our posts that we can communicate with you on what the discussion will be on the 14th of September. All right, so I think that's all the formalities out of the way. I'd like to introduce our panelists for the session today. And I'm going to start off with Wendy Makoti. She is a personal assistant to the Community and Administration Manager of the Coves Estate. We'll also be speaking to Shantelle Walters, who's the CEO of Cotswold Downs. Lila Keip, who is a community management consultant within the industry here in South Africa. And Johlene Wasserman, who is the Manager of Governance with CSOS. That's the Community Schemes Ombud Service, a regulatory body within the community schemes industry here in South Africa. All right, so welcome to all of you. We're very excited to hear from you today. Okay. I'm going to kick off to our questions so that we can open the discussion with our panelists. I will be handing over to the ladies to give us their answers and feedback. So we're going to kick off with the first question, and I'd like to hear from all 4 ladies on how did they get into the community association industry, first of all. So I'd like some feedback, some history, and how you came to be who you are today in this industry. So I'm going to give it over to Wendy, first of all. Wendy, if you can just give us a brief introduction of who you are and how you came to be here.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes. Okay, sorry you guys can't see my face. I've got like technical problem with my camera. I'm going to start off with where I began. I'm a qualified beautician, believe it or not. I've worked on cruise ships. I've worked at the airport before I came to Community Association. In 2013, I met Caieta Grobler, who is my manager today. While we started talking, when she was still my client at the time, she told me that there was a position at Pekinwood. I was so excited. I thought of weekend offs. That's the first thing I thought when she told me there was a position open. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get weekend offs after 10 years of being in the beauty industry. So I applied. My manager at the time, Johan Kruger, gave me the opportunity, and I'm so grateful. Little did I know that I was going to enjoy this. It was not about having weekend offs anymore. It was something that I really, really liked. I looked forward to going to work. So on the 3rd of January, 2014, I started working as a customer liaison for security at Pekinwood. Worked there for a couple of years, and I think I did good. I did very well. I had little experience at administration. I didn't want to disappoint because I think Caieta saw something in me, Johan saw something in me that I didn't see. Remember, I saw weekend offs when I started there. So I wanted to make a difference. I said, you know what? I am not going to disappoint. And I think I rocked in that position. to a point that I could do it with my eyes closed. Like, you would ask me something, I would answer it immediately. I knew my position in the company. I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed being part of a small team. We were like a family, you know? It was so nice that I didn't see myself doing something else. I even left. I thought maybe let me just change careers, went to corporate. That was not for me. I came back. And from being a security administrator to being a personal assistant, I think that's a big achievement for me. And I'm really proud of myself. And I think this industry is something that I want to grow in. I want to see myself as an estate manager one day, because I feel like this is where I belong. So this is how I came about being in this industry.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Thanks. And you do have a lot of potential, and we did see that, and you have grown quite a lot since you started initially in industry. So thank you very much for putting all that effort in. I'm going to give it over to Lila Keip now. She can give us some feedback from a consultant in the industry and how you came to be.
Well, hi, everybody. Thanks. Lovely to be here. And Caieta, thanks for the opportunity today. My beginnings with residential estates was in the 1980s, when South Africa had its first residential estate, which was Fourways Gardens. We bought a property here, my husband and I, and started our family. And you know, first thing you do is join. It's a community of people. Everybody's new to the community. Everybody's like, what's going on here? We're not used to being part of a residential estate. And consequently, the first needs were really to be on subcommittees, you know, environmental, social, or whatever. And then I was asked to work in the estate office as the security protocol started coming in, etc. Sure. And it's basically grown from that. So I've been involved in the industry since the mid-80s.
Since the first residential estate recognized here in South Africa. That's amazing. Wow.
So, because Anglo-American was the first developer who developed a residential estate. There were a lot of sectional titles and townhouses and that sort of thing. But yeah, my background was in admin, so it was a natural fit to move into estate admin. And since then, it's been, the roles have varied over the years, but essentially I finished in January this year, where I was an estate manager in one complex for 25 years. And so I've moved now more into the consulting field as I take it a bit slower.
Okay, well, we all need to get to that point where we just need to take a bit of a breather.
But that's basically how I came to be in the industry.
Oh, well done, and thank you for being with us for so long. I think you're definitely one of those industry leaders that we should be looking towards, you know, up to for some guidance. Shantelle, I'd like to hand over to you, because I'm very interested to hear from where you came from and how you came to be the CEO of Cotswold Downs.
Thank you, Caieta, and good morning, everybody, and thanks again for the opportunity. Gosh, I have a strange journey myself. I've been in property pretty much since I left school. I started off in humble beginnings with estate agency work, administration. I then worked up through the ranks with corporate property management. Basically, initially it was commercial and even industrial. It followed through to retail and then ended up shopping centres. I was 2RC for Gateway Theatre of Shopping here in Durban, which is one of the bigger shopping centres. And retail certainly is quite a niche market and it's quite different. But the big corporates, obviously, as you know, in South Africa, have quite a strong focus on BE. And I was not told by Old Mutual I wasn't going to grow any further in that industry. So
sure.
I was given an opportunity to have a position as the general manager at Zimbali Coastal Resort. I didn't think I knew what I was doing, but soon into the new position, I realized that managing gated communities in South Africa was still quite a new thing, and that was in 2005, 2006. So it's great to hear from you, Lila, that it's actually been around much longer than that. I felt like I was really in a pool of laymen And in that day, there was a lot of men around, and they wouldn't really talk to you, or to other for that matter. It was a big secret about your success of your estate. So coming from corporate, where you have everyone sharing and caring and trying to uplift everyone, I felt it was quite a closed market at the time. I am pleased to say it's changed significantly, so that is great. But yeah, I've just really been passionate about gated community management. It definitely has so much room still to grow in South Africa. I think there's been wonderful opportunities. The states have just bloomed everywhere, popped up all over the place. So the opportunities have grown significantly for so many people. And I certainly think for somebody that likes admin and likes to be busy on your feet and, like the diversity, which is really what I'm passionate about, it's been a great fit for me. And I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to manage Cotswold Downs here and to be in this industry. And I'd love to get more people to fall in love with it.
Yes, no, I agree with you. It is definitely an industry that many of us have fallen in love with. And thank you so much for giving us that input.
Thank you.
Last but not least, just to back off of what you just said is, the gated community, or let's call it community association management in South Africa, has been a very new concept for quite a while. And I think a result of that was the formulation of CSOS, and I'm going to actually hand over now to Johlene Wasserman, because she does work for CSOS, the regulative body that runs our community schemes in South Africa, which was, and I think I can't even recall when it started. I don't know if I stand in a correction, but Johlene, please do let us know. But that is just a result of the proof that estates or gated estates is growing at a rapid rate. Where the South African government felt it obviously necessary to put this regulative body in place to manage all of our nonsense, I think, on the sidelines. So Johlene, please, I'm going to hand over to you so you can just give us some feedback from where you come from and how you've come to be here.
Yes, I'm Johlene. Been an attorney, and I worked in insurance. Basically, that's what I did, and always were part and parcel of an ombudsman regulatory office, however, in the insurance industry. And I started with CISA 7 years ago, and ever since, I qualified as a conveyancer, mediator, did my master's in dispute resolution. So really being trying to be a property specialist and assist all our clients. I mean, we have over 1 million clients in South Africa. There's over 100,000 community schemes in South Africa. So I'm very passionate about the industry. I've been with the CISOS for 7 years. CISOS started in 2015, but we were promulgated in October 2016. So it's been quite a while. It's been an interesting journey. And, we look forward to everybody in the industry to share ideas, to have these webinars. It's very important, and to meet like-minded women and to learn from them, of course. And and that's basically it. And that's my story. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Johlene. Well, it's very interesting to hear from where all of you come from, how you've worked to get where you are today. And that's actually moving on to my next question, because I think all of us as women, with the passion that we have for community association management or community scheme management, we've had to fight our way through getting through those layers of management to have a say, and to push our passion in the right directions. So my next question to you ladies, and I'll just hand over to an individual to start off with the discussion. As a woman, do you guys feel, or as women, that we need to work harder to achieve our goals for our own professional growth in this industry? Has there been any challenges that you can maybe give examples of? And how did you overcome this? Shantelle, I'd like to give it over to you so that you can start off with that discussion, please.
Sure, thank you. Look, I mean, I've come from a property background, as I said earlier, and in the corporate industry, very much at the time, it was a very male-dominant environment. Generally, the men around at the time, I was married, was probably one of my first bigger companies that I worked for. We had from 60 to 70-year-old men that were there, and basically they saw you as a secretary, I guess. But I think through a lot of tenacity and dedication and commitment to show them that you're actually worth more than something else, they did actually mentor me, for which I'm eternally grateful, because I can honestly say back in the day, they were men with integrity. And I think once they could see you were sincere about position, that you weren't just coming in from 8 to 5. They really did invest, and I think I really reaped the benefits of that. And it's also a great opportunity, which I think a lot of other people don't have confidence around the male side, because they can be quite intimidating. But I think it's just all a show because they're quite soft inside. But really, at the end of the day, I just think really believe in yourself. And I think that's what I've had to do. I've had to stand firm in what I believe in. And sometimes you can get challenged and feel that you perhaps aren't up there with the men. But once you sort of get your flow, it's quite comfortable. You know, men generally speak a lot easier. They're a lot more relaxed. I think women, we're always so hard on ourselves. We look at ourselves and wonder what people think, and we naturally feel, I don't want to say inferior, but you just probably feel that you're a bit on the back foot. I have even a board of directors at the moment when they say, oh, I want to go look at something on the fence line, but, you know, do you want to send your 2RC? And I'm like, no, I'll be there. It's fine. I've got shoes. So, you know, sometimes I have to remind them I don't want to be put into a box as a woman. I appreciate and respect the fact that they acknowledge it, but I would like them also to see me as an equal and that I can contribute equally to the environment. And I've been quite blessed. As I said, initially it's quite a challenge. I had a new board that came through in August last year, and they were the traditional 60 to 70-year-old age group. And after 3 or 4 months of a bit of teething problems, if I can put it that way, we just get on so well. We have so much mutual respect for each other. And I think it's just about being open to allow them to express themselves and for them to also get to know you, not taking it personally. And I think we need to just persevere and have faith in themselves that they are there for a good reason and to stand by their morals. And so, yeah, that's worked well for me. It's just to push through and also take every opportunity that you can to put yourself forward and to show them what you're made of.
Well, agreed. And I love what you said about, you know, initially they were your mentors. Well, yes. You know, thank goodness for that. So we do see that. And, you know, by them mentoring you, it's enabled you to now mentor other ladies in this industry for them to grow Absolutely. Into the positions that we want to see them grow in. Okay, well, that's Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so very, very much. I'm going to hand over to Lila. Lila, what has your experience been?
I think coming into the industry so early on, it wasn't a recognized position. So as Shantelle said, it was very much, you had your directors who became the directors of the association or the trustees, and they saw you very much in a secretarial light, which was understandable because we were all learning together. But then it got to the point where, you know, you had now 2 or 3 years experience in running the community, in understanding what the articles and memorandums said and what this was, and the difficulties of keeping everybody consistent in terms of rule application, because there was the issues where you had directors who were friends with various homeowners, and suddenly the rules got a little bit wobbly around the edges, and you know, which then caused a domino effect down the line. So, I mean, I did leave the industry for a while because I had been the estate manager and in the acting capacity for about 6 months after my boss moved on to a different job. And I applied for the position and was not given it. Because, you know, I had no issue with going into a interview situation, a formal application procedure and etc. But essentially, and again, I have no issue with having people mentor me, because there's always something to learn in this industry, especially when it comes to areas where you might not have the expertise that you would like in the finance, you know, company finance part or whatever. But, you know, they were more interested in finding a person who said yes all the time than in somebody who would say, actually, no, that's actually not correct. We need to follow the procedure. So consequently, when I realized that I would be doing all the work and he would be getting all the money, I actually said goodbye for a period of time and went into the estate agency business, which was excellent because I learned about that side of the homeowners association, the community association thing. Because if the agents aren't doing their job properly, you get members who are interesting.
Informed. Misinformed.
So the importance of the estate agents and them doing their bit to sell the community correctly was important. So, and then I was headhunted and took a position with another community association. But yeah, it was annoying having done so much work for so long and then to be passed over for the sake of what, somebody who actually had no experience at all. He was a fundraiser for a school. And I just thought that was a little bit of a mistake. But anyway, I'm pleased to see that it has changed since those days. And that
it has definitely, yes.
Being given, especially like with you, Shantelle, that you're being seen as a professional person in a professional industry. And it's important.
Well, thank you very much, Lila. And I think you've made a couple of very valid points. There are challenges and there are still challenges, but it is improving. And I think with us having the CAI or the PMDP program available for managers now in this country to focus on what should be done in an actual association, it kind of takes that decision factor away between male and female, which is benefiting all of us, I think. I'm going to hand over to Johlene, just some feedback from your side. How's your experience been? Have you needed to work harder than most?
Yeah, thanks, Keita. Yes, it was slightly different with me, as there was no ombud previously, and I was there from the very beginning. And so not only were the industry confused to say, but hang on, we usually resolved our issues on our own. We went to experts, as the ladies here, like Lila and Shantelle. And now there's an ombud. What is this ombud going to do? How is it going to work? Do we have the capacity? What's going to happen? Do we have teeth? What can we do? So we were bombarded with questions and queries and in 2015. And, even before the acts were promulgated, we decided, there is such a huge need for a cheap dispute resolution service, or for rules to be quality assured, not taking away from the practicing attorneys, but they sometimes are unaffordable for most people in community schemes, and the courts are unaffordable as well. So now with 50 Rand, you can get a high court order or 150 Rand, and that people just couldn't understand that, so I think a lot of people questioned our mandate, and we were all just learning as we went along, of course. I didn't even know what I applied to. I thought it's a charity organization, the CSOS. It said community scheme. What is a community scheme? I wasn't sure what it was. So I just memorized the act like a parrot, and okay, there's houses somewhere in between there. And it's so my experience was, I were very confused for the first couple of months, and then the passion kicked in. And I think we were very, very well received by the public, and the questions started, we provided answers for the questions. And if I look at the stats, ladies, it's really, it's more females buying nowadays into sectional titles, into estates. So the figures have changed, and women are not buying jointly, they're buying on their own, so we are changing the industry. We are in those leadership positions. The women are doing it for themselves. If I look, the bond approves, a woman is now approving bonds, the statistics we have, for over R1 million on their own and buying a property. That's amazing. And obviously with course COVID and everything, it subsided a bit, but 2019 was a booming year for women to buy on their own, so we are seeing the change. So we are very thankful for that. And these figures, the CSOS got courtesy of Lightstone. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, that's very exciting. Thank you so much for giving us some insight. Very positive news to hear that women are definitely rising up and taking charge. Wendy, is there any feedback from you?
Thank you, Keita. What I've experienced, that as women, we need to work twice as hard, to constantly prove ourselves that we can do better, we can do more. Especially with the position that I was in before, the security side, it was me, a woman, against 3 men, which my my opinions didn't matter. You know, they never listened to me. But what kept me going is that every time they would get stuck, guess who they remembered? The woman. They still came back and asked me. So that kept me going. So I just thought, actually, they need me. You know, they need me, even though they pretend to be almighty. But you know what? I'm a superwoman to these men. You know, and I taught myself the systems, Keita, like any other person would. You know, the tech guy would get stuck and still come to me. I do not have any technical background, but I knew
in all fields.
You know, I would help him with a system that he's getting paid for. Yeah, and I didn't mind because that's what I love. I'm in an industry that I enjoy. You know, it just makes it hard when you work under management that doesn't see what you are capable of, or maybe appreciate what you can do. You know, like for instance, with my family, my grandfather didn't believe that a woman must go to school. My mom, finished her grade 12 when I was in grade 3, she would drop me off at school and still wear her uniform and go to school. So that also helped me to push. If my mom can do it at her age, most probably she was also discriminated on because she was the eldest in the class, but she never stopped. And she made sure wherever she went, she would rock it. So I always took that and said, you know what, that's who I'm going to be. I will be my mom, you know?
So it's actually true to say that I'm sure all of us have had some strong female figure in our lives that have shown us and taught us and pushed us and kept pushing us to persevere. Yes. So thank you so much for that feedback. Before we move on to the last 2 questions, I just want to check, is there any questions that have come through?
No questions, just people that saying everyone's story is also good. But no questions.
Well, thank you very much. We hope you guys are enjoying. Wonderful. Okay, ladies.
You can keep scrolling and put a tremendous amount of data into.
You're welcome. All right. So what I'd like to move on to next is I'd like to understand what your experience has taught you. Johlene, can we hand over to you again?
Working at the regulator, you can't do it without the necessary knowledge as well pertaining to the legislation. You know, I didn't have any experience in the property sector. I owned a couple of sexual titles, but my mom always said it's half title. It's not really a full title. I don't know really what that meant, but we went.
Because you only own half.
You know, that's really how it was, you know. So with me, you know, you simply cannot. Yes, of course. And that's why I'm saying I had a couple of mentors myself, you know, working with attorneys that's been in the industry for years and years and years, you know, that mentored me through my first year of confusion. However, then it started to pick up and I had to put, I gained the experience, but also I had to gain the knowledge of legislation, because if you provide incorrect legislative advice, you know, that is detrimental. That can put someone on the incorrect path, you know, and that's why we don't say we give legal advice, but we give legislative advice, because we're an extension of the legislation. We're nothing else. We enforce the law at the end of the day. So I think, you know, where I am today, about 7 years later, and where I came from, you know, it's overwhelming still to hear positive feedback when we do these webinars, when we do training and education, to say, but thank you, Johlene, I didn't know that. You know, I learn every day myself, you know, as much as they can learn from the CISOs but the experience, you know, I love this industry. And I think when we have this webinar in 40 years time, I'll have a wrinkle or 2 extra, but it's definitely, it's the best to be, and it's absolutely fantastic, and there's never a dull moment. I mean, you can never tell adults how to behave, can you?
No, you can't. No, you can't. So thanks. Shantelle, over to you. What has your experience taught you?
I think my experience really has been around understanding that, yeah, besides the fact that every day is different, is that you're never going to know exactly what you're doing every single day. You're going to continuously be learning. And when you've just managed to master something, it's going to change. If I consider when I was managing Zimbabwe compared to managing Cotswold Downs, apart from the fact that their cultures are different, the people living here respond in different manners, the vision is different. One is a short-term, more holiday sort of environment. The other one is more a long-term family environment. And in each environment, you have different experiences. And I think also as women, what I would like to just say to those coming into the industry is that don't ever underestimate how much you know, and be free to share your experiences and thoughts. And I think experiences taught me to not just keep quiet as much as I used to. I used to watch and learn a lot, and I like to still learn a lot. But I like to think I'm a lot more vocal than I used to be. Something about being in your 40s, going on into the 50s. You tend to be a little bit more okay with what people think. And it's actually been quite refreshing to see how people respond to that. And you realize that what you're thinking, a lot of other people are thinking or wondering. And so through that shared experience is not to be shy about your concerns or your confusions or your shortcomings. Experiences taught me to use the people around you, to share stories around the people, to draw on the information, each other's strengths. My 2RC is a male, and I think we really absolutely complement each other. I think that we work exceptionally well. And I think I would never say, although in the beginning I feel like I had to work a lot harder, I think now it's just about understanding each other, and whether it's a male or female, it's just each person's different and has their strengths. And women need to see it like that, that you're absolutely an equal, and don't sit back and watch. If you feel that you want to take the bull by the horns, go for it. What can go wrong? You know, for me, a lot of the opportunities I've had, my mom was a single mom for many years, and she had 2 jobs, and she just taught me that through hard work you can get where you want to get. And I think that applies to whether you're male or female, but as a woman, you definitely can get those chances. And so don't ever sit back and wait for something to come to you. Just think it, believe it, and it will come to you if you put the effort in. So experience taught me just to go for it. Don't sit back and wait.
That's very, very, very true. And thank you so much for that advice. Wendy, what has your experience taught you?
Thank you, Keita.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Keita, it has taught me to be very persistent. Okay. I'm a strong person today because you work with different emotions every day. You work with different people. You know, some of the investors here, if they don't get what they want, they will take out their frustrations on you. So it has taught me not to give up on just because of somebody had a bad day and they're taking it out on me. It has taught me just to be like a strong person, you know, and it made me believe that the sky is not the limit. There's much more beyond that. I came from a beauty industry and went into community association and still rocked it. So it means I can do anything that I want, or anything that I feel like that I want to do. You know, the principles that I'm using at work, I'm also using it in my personal life. I know when to talk, you know, when I should be quiet, and how to deal with these emotions. So I've really learned a lot being in this industry, and it made me such a strong person today that I'm not even scared to confront a situation, you know.
Oh, wonderful.
And not feel any emotion, and don't take any emotion home, because this is all about business. You know, it has taught me that work is work and it ends there. So if somebody is having a bad day, it's only work. You know, yeah. So I think I'm really fortunate to be in this industry, and I'm really happy, and I think I still want to do more. I still want to learn.
There's so much more to learn. So you just keep pushing forward.
Yes,
you just keep pushing forward.
I still want to learn, Keita, and I know I can do so much if I just put my head in the right position.
Wonderful. Lila, anything from you before we start closing off?
I think there's very little to add to what everybody else has said. It's been pretty much my experience as well. I think one of the things that I have kept in the back of my mind, especially when I'm meeting resistance from directors or community members, is that often that you have to sort of focus on the message and get them to focus on the message of what you're trying to get through, that it's in the community's best interest, or it's in this their best interest to comply with the rules. And I think that one of the ways where you can do that with where it isn't seen as a threat is to introduce yourself to a new member the minute they move into the community. You sort of take that 15 minutes to phone them or see them in person. How'd the move go? Here's what you need to know. Anything else you need, just let me know. If you're building, if you're doing this, and to be proactive in that regard. You save yourself a lot of hassle down the line, because they can't then say, but I didn't know that, and meanwhile, every neighbor is up in arms because they've added chickens to their property or done something, weird and wonderful. And, and then now you're putting out 20 fires instead of just one. But my experience is that it's a fantastic industry and you meet some amazing people. Colleagues as well as residents. There's just such a wealth of knowledge out there, different people, and it's a fantastic industry to be in.
It is indeed. Well, thank you very much. What I've picked up out of the discussion that we've just held over that last question was, we need to be persistent, ladies. So keep pushing forward. Knowledge is power. Thank you, Johlene, for that insight. Network and communication is also important. You're networking with other community association managers, other CAISA community managers, other industry leaders. There's so much more to learn, but we can all learn from each other. The other thing was confidence. So as long as we're confident, we're pushing forward, nothing can stop us, and focus on achieving that goal. Am I right, ladies? I think that's what it comes down to. So if we're all in agreement, I'd like to just end off. I'm going to give you all a last opportunity. If you could choose one word or at least a short sentence, what message would you give to other community or women in community association management industry? I'm going to start off with you, Lila.
Just never stop learning. Community management is an amazing field and so many opportunities, and that satisfaction you get when you've got a community that's working together as a community instead of just a group of people who happen to live in the same area. It's very, very satisfying.
Well, thank you very much. Wendy?
My message to women in this industry is that we should just learn to take leadership. I always say, I've got the saying that I saw one day. It says, never be afraid of what you don't know, because that might be your greatest strength. And I go by that every single day. Wonderful. So that's my message to you, ladies.
Thank you. Shantelle?
On my side, I suppose it's a mantra I have both in my personal life and at work, is basically, if you believe enough in something, it will come true if it's meant to be. And so that is really, I stick by that. If you want to grow in this industry, whether it's as the CEO, the general manager, the receptionist, whatever it is, I think there's a lot of people that want to give those people the opportunity. And I invite anybody here. I'm happy to impart any knowledge or share whatever I can. I think the more we all know and grow, we can grow even further, because otherwise we're only going to be as good as the people that know little. So the more we all empower each other, the greater the knowledge scheme or group gets as well. And I think just at the end of the day, women in business, it's a powerful thing. I think that we have a lot more conviction than men. And this is not a derogatory thing against men. I just mean when we at board meetings and we are deciding on issues, or when we with homeowners, we're deciding issues, it's often the women that seem to be able to stand by and say, that is the rule and that is why it is that way, and explain it and be convicted. I find that often the men just don't feel like they pick their battles, I guess, and that's not one of them. So in this industry, I think we are very powerful leaders. I think we also naturally, probably, as we had said earlier, administratively stronger. And I think we certainly can complement our male counterparts. And so I think as women, to invite them to be our partners in this business and to understand that we can add a lot of strength to the business through partnering with them, as opposed to working for them, or under them, or reporting to them. We can actually be leaders and work with them, and they can help empower us as we do them. So that would be my message.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Johlene, I'm going to end off with you before I hand over to Jessica to end off our community conversation for us.
exactly what Women's Month is. We celebrate one another, and we should do that. We should celebrate one another's victories and successes, and uplift one another. You know, it was a male-dominated industry for a very, 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 very long time. You know, but hopefully we are taking over for the next 50 years. So thanks.
Yes, well, thank you very much. Ladies, thank you very much for your time today. Jessica, I'm going to hand over to you to give us a last thought as one of our heads in CAI that we're very proud of. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Caieta. I am honored to have been able to listen to your stories and hear the paths that you took to get here and the similarities that within my own life, my aunts who mentored me into this industry. What I love most about what we do is that every day we get to help people, whether it's our homeowners, the directors, and each other. It's ingrained in our industry. As women in leadership roles, I feel that we have a higher level of EQ or emotional intelligence where, to Chantelle's point, we're able to help navigate some of those situations a little bit better and stand up and say, no, this is what's right. And this is what you should be doing, and help guide that. And I would encourage everyone, from people who are newer in the industry to Wendy, to those people who've been in it for a while and might be getting ground down a bit by the day-to-day minutia, stick with it and empower one another. As Johlene said, we have to support one another to make sure that we don't fall by the wayside. We need to help each other, support each other, be our cheerleaders, help keep pushing forward, because this is such a great industry for women of all types to really succeed. And not just if you want to be a receptionist and that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, great. But you have so much potential in this industry to lead and guide, and we can run the world. So I love seeing all of this excitement, and I wish you all continued success in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you again for taking the time at 2 o'clock in the morning to attend our session. We are so pleased to have had you with us, and what an inspiration. So if there's no other questions, ladies, thank you for your time. Keep persevering, keep pushing forward. I hope we can have another session like this soon enough, just to touch base and get just back into communication with each other. Networking is great. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.